Alright, this video is going to cover area of different shapes, including triangles, trapezoids, kites, circles, regular polygons, and parallelograms. Okay, this first one is a triangle, and the formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, or again you may see it written as base times height divided by 2. Okay, those are the same thing, multiplying by half or dividing by 2. Okay, but you do need to remember base and height meet at a 90-degree angle. Any of the three sides of your triangle can be your base, but since this is drawn at a 90-degree angle right here, they're counting this as the base, which makes this the height. Okay, so when we plug that in, we'll have 19 times 40 divided by 2, or times 1/2. However you want to do that. Now in this case, when you're entering this into the calculator, you have 19 times 40 divided by 2. There's no parentheses or anything needed because it's just multiplication and division. Okay, so you get 380. So our area is 380. Our units were feet, and area is units squared, so square feet. Now for the perimeter, they're asking to add all the sides. It's the distance around. So for perimeter, you just take your 3 exterior sides and add them together. So 91 feet. And this is just a distance. Okay, it's one-dimensional, so it's not squared or cubed or anything. It's just feet. Okay, here we have a parallelogram. Okay, in parallelograms, opposite sides are congruent. So this side would also be 21, and this side would also be 32. So for our perimeter, we could take all 4 sides and add them up. So you get 106, and this is measured in meters. Area is base times height. Okay, not divided by 2. It's just like a rectangle, base times height. But again, base and height do have to meet at the 90-degree angle. So here's a 90-degree angle. So this dotted line, the 18, is my height, which makes 32 my base. Okay, so you're not having to use the side length of 21 to find your area. So you just have to enter 32 times 18 and get 576. Whoops. Now area, don't forget your units are squared. Next up we have a trapezoid. The formula for area of a trapezoid is 1/2 in parentheses base 1 plus base 2 and then times height. And again, you could have all of this over 2 instead of multiplied by half. The bases are the two sides that are parallel in your trapezoid. In this case, that is the 35 and 53. So I'll plug those in for the bases. The height, again, makes a 90-degree angle with the bases. So these are not the height. Okay, this is your height, which they've told you is 20. Now it is important to do order of operations correctly here. Make sure you add what is in parentheses first. Okay, and then you can multiply by half and by 20. And you get 880. And this is centimeters, so it's centimeters squared. Alright, in this one you have a rhombus, which is the same formula as a kite. Okay, remember we said a kite was 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. Okay, rhombus is the same formula. Okay, now that makes a 90-degree angle when the diagonals of a rhombus intersect, just like in a kite. And that's why we're multiplying the diagonals, because that's where our 90-degree angle is, like base and height in the other ones. Okay, so here in a rhombus you need to know that these are bisected. The diagonals bisect each other, so this is also 18. So the entire length of this diagonal is 36, and the entire length of diagonal 2 is 28. So when you plug them in, you have 1/2 diagonal 1 and diagonal 2. Again, it doesn't matter which order you put them in when you're multiplying. So 1/2 of 28 times 36 is 504. And this is measured in meters. So it would be meters squared. Next up is a square. Nothing is labeled, but they do tell us that the side lengths are 16. So hopefully you can just read that and mark it in your picture, and you know that a square, all sides are equal. So both of these would be 16, 90-degree angles in a square, so that's your base and height. And then remember, a square is a parallelogram or a rectangle, so that same formula. So you just have to do 16 times 16, or if you do know the square formula, side squared, you can think of it as 16 squared. You get the same answer either way, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. 16 squared is 256, and they did not tell us units, so I'm just going to put square units. Now for perimeter, it's all 4 sides, and they're all the same, so you can just say 16 times 4, which is 64, and this again is linear units, not squared. Here we have a rectangle, which again, that is a parallelogram. Rectangles have a 90-degree angle, so the length and width are your base and height. So for base times height, it's 29 times 44, which gives you 1276. And this is in feet, so it'll be feet squared. Hopefully you remember that in a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent, so this would be 29 and this would be 44. Remember, to get your perimeter, you add all of your sides. So you have 44 plus 44 plus 29 plus 29, which gives you a grand total of 146 feet. That's the distance around this rectangle. Now we have another triangle. This is an obtuse triangle because you have an obtuse angle. And in an obtuse triangle, sometimes your altitude, okay, or your height is going to be outside the triangle. Because if you see here, if they're counting this side, this 22-inch side right here, as my base, and I look at the opposite corner, the opposite vertex, from there I have to be able to draw a line perpendicular 90 degrees to create my height. Inside the triangle, that's not possible, so they have to come outside. Okay, so they extend the line on to draw this height. So 22 is the base, 28 is the height. You don't, in this one, for area, need 52 or 39. Okay, for area, you just need base and height. And don't forget the divided by 2 since it's a triangle. So 22 by 28 over 2 is 308. Your units are in inches, so area is inches squared. Okay, now the 39 and 52 come into play when they're asking for our perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around, so you add up the 3 sides. We do not need 28 for perimeter. So we have 39, 52, and 22. So 39 plus 52 plus 22 is 113, and that is in inches. Alright, now we're to a trapezoid. The formula for area of your trapezoid is 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Okay, remember the bases are the two parallel, in this case the 16 and the 35. Don't forget to put them in parentheses. If you're using a graphing calculator, a calculator where you can input this all at once, you need to be sure to input the parentheses. Otherwise, you'll have to do this step by step. The height is where the base meets at a 90-degree angle with the height, so 17. Okay, so you would have to do 16 plus 35, and then you can multiply that by 17 and then by half, or you could divide by 2 then. And that gives you 433.5. Our units are inches, so this is inches squared.